In this example, we will try to design this steam iron that you see, and we will use a reference model that we import from Onshape. On the left, the green one, and on the right you see the end product. So we start by importing this Part Studio as a reference. That's why it comes green and transparent. And we'll use the Convert tool to convert just two surfaces, the rear and the lower part of this steam iron, as you saw. So these now are two phi editable faces, and we do a bridge command between them to unite them. And then with this deformation, we immediately set the overall shape of our body. We add a vertex at a point that we'll be using later, and we remove these two edges that were added in the bridge command that we don't care about. Here we do a snap operation where we snap an edge onto a reference edge, and then a copy operation where we do a copy of an edge onto another one. So we copy the shape of an edge onto another edge. So this is a starting overall shape. We add an edge across this face, which is already there in the initial design. We're not snapping now because we don't want to exactly duplicate the design. We have some freedom in redesigning it our own, and the same on the other side. And we add a symmetry mate here in order to make the two edges perfectly symmetric with each other. And as you see now, we deform the one and the other one is following. A little more symmetric deformation on both faces of this iron to make sure it's identical. And now we will add one more vertex at the location that corresponds to these two vertices on the faces, and we smoothen these new edges. And now we have to poke a hole through this face. And the best way you have right now is by doing two offsets, which initially do not have the shape that we're after. But as you see, we select them and we move them roughly into place, and we give them roughly the overall dimensions we're after. And then we select them again and we poke a hole through them. Now, there's a relatively easy way of selecting the boundaries of these holes and making them all smooth, like we did. And once again, we will deform them, and we'll also show the reference to get as close as possible to that without really caring to be exact. Okay. And now we do an extra operation. We remove the boundary edges and vertices to get a very smooth, to get an overall smooth transition. And we also remove some edges that we don't need, and the same on the other side. So now we have a set of relatively smooth faces. At this point there is some pushing and pulling because, as I said, we have the freedom to give this the shape that we desire, and it needs a little bit of getting used to working with these very freeform elements, the edges and the faces, as you see, and some final moves on the edges. And this is the result of our design work after a little more modification there. And now we will bring in the initial reference model, and we will move our design out of the way for a comparison. As I said, we were not going for a perfect match, but something close.